don't ride for nobody, no badge, no crew. Truth don't play favors, it just come through. I don't take sides, I take time and review. Slow to put it, let the context break through. If you clean, that stamp stay true.
On the afternoon of January the 21st, 2025, a CCTV camera captured a lone teenager circling the footpaths on a bicycle. The rider, later identified as 14-year-old Kian Molton, appeared to be roaming aimlessly around Tritford Mill Park. Nearby, 12-year-old Leo Ross, still in his school uniform, was walking home from school. Their paths crossed. Off camera, in a sudden and unprovoked burst of violence, the teenager lunged at Leo and stabbed him in the stomach. Leo collapsed on the pathway, gravely wounded. The CCTV footage then shows the bicyclist hastily riding away, pausing only to discard a knife in the bushes by the stream before doubling back. Police and paramedics rushed to the scene after a passerby called 999.
That's a big blade. That is a huge. Even if he got half of that in that kid, he had very limited time to get to the doctor.
Body-worn police camera footage from that moment shows a composed Kian Molton standing by, pretending to be a concerned witness. As medics fought to save Leo's life, Molton calmly tells an officer that he was simply passing through on his bike and discovered the injured boy.
I was probably here around about 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I was, cause I just come out every now and then by my bike. I was riding because there's the mechanic shop up there.
Okay.
I was gonna come through here because that leads that way. That is. But I seen him, and then I seen this woman. She was walking down, so I told her to call you guys. Yeah, so I told her to call you guys. Then I went to get some help from different people, and that's all I know about it. He was laid there like that when I got here, and that's all I know about.
That should have been their first tell. That should have been their first tell that something was off with him. The fact that you got to tell it, he was laying just like that. See, he's telling on himself. Now, they may or may not have caught out on, but they can't do anything right now because they got no real concrete proof. But the instant somebody got to reiterate, no, I found him just like that. Yeah. Too much detail. Too much assurance in that statement.
So you've not seen anyone near him, or you've seen him land? Okay. Okay. Can I just take your name? So just to confirm, you've been riding along here around 3-ish. Yeah. Was it 3 bang on, or was it after 3? Because it's now.
Can't really remember, but it's around the 3.
Near to 4. You've then seen the lady in
Beamer. Okay. No, I've seen him, and then as I was looking at it, I didn't touch him because that could put me in that case.
Okay.
See? Yeah, all these tells, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm because I know, but that he's saying too many things just shouldn't add up to the cops.
I was seeing her, she was walking there.
Yes,
So I came and told her to call the police, and then I went and got him, and then him.
Okay.
At that moment, police had no reason to suspect the mild-mannered teenager giving a statement was actually the killer. After speaking with officers at the scene and feigning concern, Kian Molton got back on his bike and rode home, leaving behind a fatally injured 12-year-old and a baffling crime scene. It would take a dedicated investigation and a trove of evidence to unravel what had really happened. Kian Molton was a deeply troubled teenager known to authorities for his violent behavior. He grew up in Yardley Wood in South Birmingham, just minutes from the park where he would later attack Leo. His upbringing was unstable, and he displayed behavioral issues from an early age. Kian's parents had separated when he was very young, and he was exposed to domestic violence in his home as a child.
It sounded like you're trying to make excuses for the dude. Sounding like. I understand that trauma does some stuff to people. I get it. But choices are still made. Choices are still made.
After the age of 4, he had little to no contact with his mother, and his father struggled to manage him, despite trying to keep the boy on a steady path. At school, Molton's behavior was so dangerous that he was expelled from mainstream secondary education and even expelled from a special pupil referral unit that was meant to handle students with issues. According to later reports, he had broken a teacher's nose and once brought a knife into class.
How he's still free is my question. Why he not in like juvie or locked away or a home, perhaps? No? I forgot this is not the same system as we're under. And even in this system, he probably would be free still. Y'all should take red flag seriously. Like, it's red for a reason. It means danger. In case that eluded some people.
Among other incidents. By early 2025, he resided in a secure children's home for youths with serious behavioral problems. His own parents had reportedly warned authorities that their son liked violence and gained enjoyment from it, underscoring just how disturbed his mindset had become. Multiple mental health red flags accompanied Molton's outward violence. In court, his defense would describe Kian as having formidable mental health problems.
So again, silly me. Why is you free? How? Anyway, you know what? I should keep my reserve judgment because, you know what? No, screw it. I don't reserve no judgment. Take people like this off the street. They're telling you exactly where they are. Get them help. Don't just assume they're going to somehow self-rectify. Nope. Fix it now.
He had been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and a conduct disorder in childhood. He experienced episodes of self-harm and had voiced suicidal thoughts, and there were claims that he heard disembodied voices urging him on. Therapists were made available to him during his time in care, but he often refused to engage with treatment.
All right, I've officially made up my mind. Whoever made the decision to not sequester him away is also responsible for the death of that little boy. I said it. Everybody that played a role in letting him walk free every time, y'all should be held accountable too. Jail, straight to jail. Do not pass, straight to jail. Don't pass go. No $200 for you, jail.
Police were well aware of Kian Molton. Even though he had no prior criminal convictions at that point, he was already a suspect in 4 separate assault incidents between October and December 2024. Astonishingly, 2 of those incidents involved attacks on police officers themselves.
How in the... You know, the more I think about this, the more upset I'm going to get. So I'm in my head, I'm just going to act like I didn't hear none of this because it don't make no damn sense how you're still free. It don't make sense how you attack ossifers and y'all do them. I'm so baffled. So baffled.
The authorities knew Kian was dangerous. His name had come up repeatedly in connection with violence. Yet he remained at large in the community under the nominal watch of the care home. In the 3 days before Leo Ross's murder, Molton launched a series of attacks on elderly women in the same park area. Around midday on January the 19th, an 82-year-old woman walking alone along the River Cole became Molton's first known victim. Kian approached the elderly woman from behind and shoved her forcefully into the river. The victim fell face down into the cold water and ended up soaking wet, partially submerged in a ditch. As the pensioner tried to comprehend what was happening, Kian stood over her and said, "I tried to drown you, but now I'm going to kill you." He then grabbed the woman's walking pole and began to beat her with it, striking her multiple times. He then walked up to a passerby and told them, "There's an old lady in the water, and she needs help," directing the Good Samaritan to the scene before slipping away.
I know people are going to give him excuses about how he's been traumatized and how he's been through this and been through that and been through the other and been. And I will stand on what I said before. Do not hand me that load of tripe at all when you could have easily put him in a location where this couldn't be affecting other people. A home where he's just free to leave and come back is not helping everyone else. You've already established that he don't like nobody. You've already established that he's violent. So why in the hell are you giving him options to leave a facility you say is supposed to be care and then go out to do nonsense and be sequestered away in the safety of that place and never face charge? I don't see. I gotta wait till he kills somebody to say something then. All right.
She was severely hurt and in shock, telling her rescuer that she thought she was going to die during the attack. She had multiple injuries, a laceration on her head, a broken nose, 2 black eyes, a fractured rib, and 2 broken fingers. Injuries were so serious they required surgery to repair. On January the 20th, the very next day, Molton struck again. This time his victim was a 72-year-old woman who was out for a walk in the same general area. As with the first attack, Kian approached from behind, targeting a lone, vulnerable passerby. He either shoved or slammed into the woman with an object with great force, hitting the left side of her back. The blow knocked the 72-year-old to the ground. She lost consciousness from the impact and was later found on the path by another passerby, bleeding from a head wound. As Molton fled the scene, he apparently said, "I'm sorry," to his victim.
That's enough to let him free then. Next time I do something, I'm gonna just say sorry. If I ever get in an altercation and somebody head get busted, I'll be, man, sorry, man, and then leave. See if that work out for me. I think just a suspicion. I don't think the people around are going to be approving of that. Secondarily, if cops show up, they might be like, "Oh, you said sorry." Guess what? That don't matter. That don't matter. Then I'll be like, "But I said sorry." You're still going to jail.
The woman suffered serious injuries, including multiple broken ribs, and the trauma from the fall was so severe that she needed an emergency hip replacement surgery soon after.
Damn.
In a statement to police, this victim said she feared the incident would leave her anxious about going out alone. She became emotional, just thinking about what had happened to her for no reason at all. Even before Kian Molton encountered Leo Ross on January the 21st, there was a third attack that day in the same vicinity. Details of this particular incident were not extensively reported, but it involved a separate victim, also an older woman according to prosecutors, and occurred prior to the assault on Leo. This means Molton had already attacked 3 people in 3 consecutive days, all in the area around the River Cole and Tritford Mill Park. By the afternoon, Kian Molton was literally hunting for a new target in the same park where he had left a trail of injured pensioners. Leo Ross was going about an ordinary day in the life of a 12-year-old. Leo was a first-year secondary school student who attended Christ Church, Church of England Secondary Academy in Yardley Wood. He lived in foster care with the Weston family, who described him as a beloved part of their household. Leo's biological parents, though not his primary carers, were very much involved in his life as well. His mother, Rachel, and father, Christopher, both loved him dearly, and he had siblings and extended family who adored him.
How much money you want to bet that there was an unknown bit of information and that he just did not like the fact that this kid was well taken care of and he wasn't? I would venture to say that this was not some random willy-nilly attack, that he knew the kid and might have already known his route and time that he would appear there. And he had known of what kind of person he was and how his family was. And unlike him, where he had foster care and people actually cared, he didn't. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
On January the 21st, Leo went to school as usual. It was a normal weekday, and nothing could have foreshadowed the danger lurking on his route home. At the end of classes that day, Leo left campus wearing his uniform and headed out on foot. His path home took him through Shire Country Park, a green area along the River Cole that local students often used as a shortcut. In fact, Leo was planning to meet a friend in the park that afternoon, which is why he was walking that way. The park and river trail were familiar to him and generally considered safe in daylight. Tragically, Leo Ross was exactly the kind of unsuspecting, vulnerable target that Molton was seeking. Investigators later recovered footage showing Molton circling around on his bike near the Tritford Mill Pond and along the paths. He was lying in wait for any suitable victim. When Molton saw Leo walking alone, he zeroed in on him. Molton approached Leo and pulled out a kitchen knife he had been carrying. He then stabbed the 12-year-old once in the abdomen, puncturing vital organs. Mortally wounded, Leo fell to the ground on the secluded path. The attack happened so quickly and in such a relatively isolated spot that no one witnessed the stabbing. The first indication to others that something was wrong came moments later, when Kian Molton himself emerged from the scene, behaving as if he had just discovered the victim. He tossed his knife into the bushes near the riverbank. That knife would turn out to match the fatal wound in Leo's abdomen, and Leo's DNA was found on it. A woman walking in the vicinity ran over, finding the boy on the ground. The Good Samaritan began first aid on Leo and made the emergency call. It was now only minutes since the stabbing, and Leo was critically injured, but still alive. West Midlands police officers and an ambulance crew arrived at the park. Kian Molton stayed at the scene and was talking to people as if he had stumbled upon the incident. Molton's demeanor was eerily controlled. He even assisted by guiding officers to the location and describing how he supposedly found Leo.
You know what kind of sick individual you got to be standing over your victim, talking to the police to say to them, yeah, man, look at him. He's just I found him like that. I have no idea what happened, and just acting like as nonchalant as you can be. I mean, obviously, we covered the fact that he has tells in his statement, but overall, you got to be really demented. It almost as though he has a complex about witnessing the kinds of stuff that he did, especially in this. It might have given him a rush.
Not realizing the killer was right in front of them, police took Molton's statements at face value. On an officer's bodycam video, Molton can be heard coolly giving an account of his movements.
So just to confirm, you've been riding along here around 3-ish. Yeah. Was it 3 bang on, or was it after 3? Because it's now.
Can't really remember, but it's around the 3.
Near to 4. You've then seen the lady in
Female.
Okay.
No, I've seen him, and then as I was looking at I didn't touch him because that could put me in a case.
Okay.
I was seeing her, she was walking there.
Yeah.
So then, yes, so I came and told her to call the police, and then I went and got him, and then him.
Throughout this interaction, Kian never betrays any guilt or nervousness. He does not flee. Instead, he plays the role of witness to perfection, remarkably composed for a child who had just committed a murder. The responding officers, focused on saving Leo's life, had little reason to suspect the helpful teen at that moment. They noted his name and let him leave after he'd given his version of events. Paramedics worked to stabilize Leo on the scene. He had lost a great deal of blood from the single stab wound, which had caused catastrophic internal damage. As the ambulance raced him to Birmingham Children's Hospital, medics performed life-saving measures and eventually got him into emergency surgery. Tragically, despite all efforts, Leo Ross succumbed to his injury. He was pronounced dead at 7:30 p.m. that evening in the hospital after surgeons were unable to save him. Over the next few hours, detectives pored over hundreds of hours of video recordings. This painstaking review paid off. CCTV cameras did in fact catch glimpses of a youth on a bicycle, riding around the park before the murder and fleeing afterward. One camera placed Molton near the scene immediately before and after Leo's stabbing. Before long, The trail led officers to a residential area in Yardley Wood, not far from the park, exactly where Kian lived. Given that Molton had already provided his name during his witness interview, detectives had enough to connect the dots. Within mere hours of Leo's death, police decided to arrest Kian Molton.
As they should have. They should have done that forever ago so that this would not have happened. I know a lot of people like the second chance idea. Not everybody deserves a second chance. You can get a second chance spiritually all you want. In life, you don't need or deserve a second damn chance. I'm sorry. That not everybody deserves it. Some people will live better lives if they don't get a second chance. Other people will live a better life if certain people didn't get a second chance. Not everybody deserves it. Not everybody needs it, and not everybody should have it. Patient zero for not needing a second chance. The first time y'all had problem with this punk, y'all should have put him and left him somewhere in juvie, somewhere far away, and deal with him emotionally there, away from people. Y'all just release this monster on the civilians, and this is what you get.
Late on the night of January the 21st, police showed up at Molton's home, the secure children's unit where he was staying, and took him into custody. Kian was arrested on suspicion of Leo's murder. Once in custody, Kian refused to cooperate with detectives. In formal interviews, he answered no comment to every question. He provided no explanation or motive for what happened, maintaining an obstinate silence on the murders and other incidents. But by that point, the evidence against him was mounting by the hour. The forensic evidence came back confirming that the recovered knife was indeed the murder weapon. It had Leo Ross's DNA on it, and crucially, traces of Kian's DNA as well. Additionally, when police searched Kian's bedroom, they found clothing with Leo's blood on it. In that same search of Molton's room, investigators discovered a handwritten note, essentially a confession letter that Kian had penned after the murder. "I'm not going to lie. I will hold my hands up and say that I done it. I stabbed him, lower right stomach." Police also connected all three attacks on elderly women to Molton.
You see, I told y'all he mentally unstable. Why you gonna write down anyway? You know what? You can't make sense of crazy. I just realized what I'm saying. I'm asking crazy to make sense to me.
When confronted with the evidence for those assaults, Kian chose to admit to most of them. Ultimately, he would confess to attacking the 82-year-old and 72-year-old on January 19th and 20th, and even to a lesser assault on another woman on January 21st, prior to the murder. With CCTV footage placing him at the scene, forensic science tying him to the knife and blood, and even a written confession, the case against Kian Molton was ironclad. By the end of January 2025, Kian was formally charged with Leo's murder and multiple related offenses. He was remanded to a secure youth detention facility to await trial. Initially, Kian Molton was set to face a full murder trial in Birmingham Crown Court. He was 14 at the time of the crime, turning 15 by the time the case progressed through the courts in 2025. As a minor, his identity was shielded by law throughout the pre-trial process. A trial date was scheduled for early 2026. However, just days before the trial was to commence, Kian's lawyers indicated that he would change his plea to guilty, thus avoiding a trial. On January 29, 2026, at a plea hearing, the now 15-year-old admitted to Leo's murder. Additionally, he admitted to possessing a bladed article on the day of Leo's killing. On February 10, 2026, a sentencing hearing took place at Birmingham Crown Court.
I'm going to go on a limb. A short limb, and maybe not a useful limb, but a limb nonetheless. Until he's 18, he'll be in jail, and then maybe transferred to another jail for another 5 years. That's what I'm guessing. considering the kind of crap that they've allowed him to do so far. Let's see if I hope I'm wrong, but let's see.
Given the gravity of the case, much of the harrowing detail that was gathered by investigators was revealed publicly during this hearing. It was also revealed that even after his arrest, Molton's violent behavior continued while in detention.
Oh.
The judge noted incidents over the past year in custody where Kian had either attacked others or harmed himself. His defense barrister spoke in mitigation, acknowledging the devastating impact of Kian's actions, but trying to shed light on why a child could do such things. They characterized Kian as a deeply disturbed young person with serious psychological issues. He informed the court that Kian had been diagnosed with conduct disorder and ADHD, had a repeated history of hearing voices, and was prone to bizarre, erratic behavior.
You think?
The defense described how Kian had engaged in episodes of self-harm and seemed to lack normal emotional responses. They also pointed out that Kian was extremely young to be facing life imprisonment, and that his rehabilitation and safety in custody were concerns. After these remarks, the court moved to the matter of sentencing. The judge sentenced Kian Molton to life in prison with a minimum term of 13 years to be served in custody.
Good.
This means that Kian must spend at least 13 years behind bars before he can even be considered for release on parole.
That's good.
Since he was 15 at sentencing, the earliest he could possibly go free would be around the year 2039, when he would be in his late 20s. Even at that point, release would depend on a parole board assessment of whether he still poses a danger.
My theory is he might actually stay in prison because he might want to. I will venture to say over his next few years, he's going to commit some sort of violent act in prison. He's going to beat somebody up, probably even shank somebody, and maintain his life in there. Why? Because you feel like he's amongst people that he can identify with. I really think that's what he was looking for, is a mental space to belong to people that think like him. You know, I feel he was trying to go to prison, man.
The 13-year minimum term immediately drew an outraged response from Leo's family in court.
Why?
Leo's mother, Rachel Fisher, speaking to the press afterward, slammed the 13-year minimum term as a complete and utter joke.
Why? Because it wasn't long enough? You know what? No, don't say that. You don't. Okay, I'll say you don't look like a good mom. First of all, you look like you do a lot of unscrupulous things for life. So no, why is it unconscionable? Please tell us. You think it's too long, right? Or wait, you think it's too short? Let's go with you being a good mom. It's too less. So you got to give him 25 years minimum.
In her view, it was grossly inadequate for the taking of her child's life, and would not deter other youths from knife violence.
Okay, so that's the mama. That's no wonder you got the kid. People like this, and don't act like I messed up. I'm gonna tell you something. Your child's in custody of another parent, right? Then they say, oh, she's involved. Can you all tell me something, please? And answer my question honestly, because again, this is the kind of thing we need to talk about. What exactly did you do to help your child? Nothing. Your child's over there in a corner with a bunch of multiple parental influences. Y'all say he was happy. My answer to your statement of it needing more time, more than 13 years. Is there a way that we can figure out, for the life of me, why is it that always the parents that are of the victim and the situation that they're a part of always come in Johnny come lately to situations? Why is it a Johnny come lately to the situation? I don't understand it. I really don't. There's so many things that could have been done right. And I know we're talking about the victim, but we need to talk about the victim too. Because don't forget, the victim was in foster care as well. There's so many Johnny come lately situations like this that we don't want to address as adults. But when tragedy strikes, all of a sudden now we find the most severe moral compass that we can find. everybody in this situation, outside of the victim himself, had a part to play. Ain't nobody want to talk about that, though. That'd be too much, right? Okay.
In the weeks following the sentencing, Leo's family and the Birmingham community struggled to come to terms with what had happened. Many who never knew Leo personally were moved by the tragedy of a child killed in their neighborhood.
Listen, if people really thought this highly of people, there would have been far more activism to remove Molton off the street. I get that people listen, and this is a touchy situation, and I'm trying to approach it delicately. Everybody's looking for sympathy here, sympathy there. And it's not until something happens egregious, like the death of a young person or a child, that everybody all of a sudden finds their moral center. Nobody wanted it before. Nobody wanted it before. The community knew about Molton. They knew about Molton. Nothing was done about Molton. Multiple people had been attacked by Molton. Nobody did anything about Molton. He had been doing stuff for 5 years already. Nobody did anything about Molton. I still stick to my story that he knows who this kid was. He didn't live that far away. None of them did from that park. That park was central to everybody. It always takes the removal of somebody who ain't got nothing to do with nothing, who can't do anything about anything, for people to come up and say, we should have done, we should have, we could have, we could have, should have, would have, should have.
The spot that had been a crime scene became a vigil site, with candles lit in Leo's memory. Members of the community spoke of their shock that such violence could occur in a familiar local park in daylight.
You see what I mean? That y'all are in shock over something that's been happening? Oh, this is different because death occurred. Y'all didn't read the signs prior to? Multiple signs from this one individual that, hey, if anybody gonna do it, it might be it might be him. So what I mean by not everybody need a second chance.
Parents held their children a little closer and wondered if more could have been done to protect Leo.
The answer is yes. Yes, more could have been done to protect Leo. That's my point exactly. Yeah, more could have been done. This is what happens when the community at abroad hears about something and everybody thinks, well, that's them. Until it affects me, I don't got nothing to say about it. Then when it affects you, everybody should have done something. Meanwhile, you're the adults walking around knowing about these stories about this individual. It wasn't hidden. His behavior was not hidden. Kids knew, adults knew, police knew, the judicial knew, people knew, and they let him continue to do what he got to do. He beat up old people. History of violence in school, out of school. Please stop pretending that people didn't know, especially the people that were supervising young Leo. Come on now. Come on. This is the kind of stuff that angers me because ain't nobody want to bite the bullet and say what needs to be said about certain individuals when they're younger. If you don't want to have these kinds of things happening, then maybe monitor the things that are going on in the youth so you can address it then, so they don't wait till they get older and it's codified in them. They didn't do nothing with Molton, and all of a sudden it became codified in him. He was allowed to do what he was doing by everybody in the community. Little boy's parents as well. If you know of a threat, snitch, talk, request something to be done. Because in the end, somebody you know might end up being like this little kid. After a life is lost, then y'all do something. Day late, dollar short, one life is gone. I know y'all might disagree with the way I talk to the mom, but it is what it is. Boy's not here no more. In any case, all this concern about the children, they ain't really matter much until it affects somebody rich, I guess. Anyway, leave your comments below. Berate me all you need to. Get it off your chest. But please address the comment too about whether or not there could have been more done to stop this from happening, considering the actions of the man that did this for the last few years of his life. I'll wait to read your comments on this one. Catch you next one.
One wrong move, turn the present into the past. I don't ride for nobody, no badge, no crew. Truth, don't play favorites, it just come through. I don't take sides, I take time and review, so to put it, let the context break through. If you clean, that stamp stay true. If you foul, that show up too. No miss, no spin, no cover up hype. Everything judge in plain sight.